This is my product review of EEZOX Synthetic One Product Gun Care CLP. I've done a bunch of CLP reviews. I'll leave a link to my playlist at the end of this video. I try to keep my tests consistent for each product to make comparisons more valid. I've got my steel flat sanded down to 400 grit, cleaned with brake cleaner, and separated into 3 sections. It's time to fire it up. Here's close-up shots of the burnt powder in each section. I used Hudgens Tight Group. I use good old Hoppe's No. 9 as my comparison for this test. Hoppe's No. 9 is not a CLP, it is a dedicated powder solvent. A one-product, do-it-all CLP should be able to get close to the powder dissolving capability of Hoppe's No. 9. I applied a liberal amount of product to each section. I let the product soak for 5 minutes. The brass brush simulates a bore brush. I clean the brush with brake cleaner before each section. And I used a new patch to wipe each section. I let the second EEZOX section soak for a total of 30 minutes before brushing and wiping. Here's a close-up of each section after brushing and wiping. EEZOX was not able to match the burnt powder dissolving capabilities of Hoppe's No. 9. I think the brass brush did more work than the EEZOX. The longer soak time did not improve its performance. Now it was time for the corrosion test. I used WD-40 as my comparison for this test, not because WD-40 is the best against corrosion, but because it is universally available and almost everyone has experience with it. I resanded the steel flat down to 400 grit, cleaned it with brake cleaner, and divided it into 3 sections just as before. I applied an even film of product to 2 sections. I left the middle section uncoated for comparison. I let the product soak for 5 minutes. I mixed 1 teaspoon of non-iodized salt with 1 cup of warm tap water. This is to simulate a worst-case scenario of a sweaty hand contacting the metal. I did my best to coat the sections evenly. Here's each section just after spraying. I let the salt water remain on the steel for 24 hours. Here's close-ups of each section after 24 hours. The uncoated plain steel section was definitely attacked by the saltwater solution. You can see the dried salt crystals on the treated sections. Both the WD-40 and EEZOX were able to protect the steel. So I would say that EEZOX worked about as well as the other CLPs I've tested. EEZOX was able to protect the steel against a worst-case corrosion scenario. However, it could not match the performance of a dedicated powder solvent like Hoppy's No. 9. So I hope this video was helpful. Thanks for watching. Make sure you check out my CLP and Ballistol test playlist for more reviews.